Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. My name is Viktor Fursov, and this is my channel, Viktor Fursov, entomologist, beekeeper, teacher. And today is September 21st, 2018, and I am standing here in the center of Kyiv, in the downtown. Actually, this is Independence Square. This is a column with the Mother Ukraine, with the Hotel Ukraine, and this is Independence Square, or Maidan of Independence, the most famous part in the city of Kyiv. And by the way, today this video is devoted to special question: the names of different zoological subjects, the names in entomology, and how these names can be so interesting, unusual, surprising, and entertaining, and even glorious, so they glorify you or someone else or maybe another people, because entomologists and zoologists, especially taxonomists, they're dealing always with different zoological names. As we say, this is taxonomy. Everyone should be named, any organism, any insect should be named, so that's why taxonomists creating names for their subjects, especially when taxonomists describing them. So how to become glorious, how to become famous in taxonomy, or maybe not in taxonomy, how to receive your name in the name of zoological object. This is the subject of this video. So, as you know, the first taxonomist and zoologist who just gave binomial names in zoology, this was Linnaeus, and Linnaeus, he proposed two names for genus and for species, and then the name of author who created it. So this is the tradition now. All taxonomists and zoologists were creating new names, so by giving names to genus, to genera, to species, to many species, and then this species will receive the name of author and the year when it was described. For instance, the first name, as you know, just the name of Apis mellifera, the honeybee. And the honeybee is a very famous bee because it's collecting honey, and it's also been described by Linnaeus in 1758. Well, the honeybee received special name, like a surname and the name. And then all another taxonomists and another entomology were creating new and new names. For instance, some of them they can create names for the memory of different political leaders, but it's not very polite because leaders were always changing, and this is always changeable politics everywhere in the world, in states, in Ukraine, in Russia, anywhere in Europe, or the whole world. But nevertheless, for instance, some of them by making such controversial names. For instance, some American taxonomists they gave these names in honor of a bushy. You see, Aratidium bushy, in the name of a former President Bush, or this name Cheney, or this is Rumsfeldy. Yeah, these people who are just politicians, they were politicians in United States of America. And this was published in 2005 by this Wheeler and Kelly Miller. So some of them were given names for politicians. So for example, now we can also give these names, for example, at least here on this paper, they are not still published, but many taxonomists and many entomologists creating new names. They're discovering these insects. So for example, it can be more for Bushy, or more for Clintony, or maybe more for Obama, or even more for Trumpy, because this is a new president. Why not? Why not giving a new name in the honor of American president? Yes, this is very honorable, despite their changing, but the name of the president and the name of a person who described it will be always written somewhere in the literature. This is called zoological taxonomical literature, and by the way, this name will be forever till the time when this name can be rearranged, or for example synonymized, will be receiving another name. For example, because sometimes names can be changeable and changed. Or what can I say about Ukraine? In Ukraine we have also a lot of different very famous people. For instance, do you know Horodetsky, a famous architect, or do you know the writer Bulgakov? So for example, some people, if they're just creative, they can describe such genus as a Vasik, or for example species name will be Gorodetsky, and species new, so it should be described as a species new for science. Or for example the genus Telesik. This is the famous hero in folklore in Ukrainian folklore, and the species name as Bulhakovy, the name of a famous Ukrainian Russian writer. So Ivasik Gorodetsky and Telesik Bulhakovy, why not? So, but always you can switch on some creativity, because many taxonomists were given name very simple, like Musca domestica, this is Musca domestica name, and Musca genus name. Oh, but we have very famous people here in Ukraine. Some of them were heroes of different novels. For example, Musca can be Musca Ostapi, because famous person Ostap Bender. Not Bandera, but Ostap Bender is a famous person of an Ilf and Petrov novel. Or Musca Ilfi, or Musca Ilf Petrovi, for example. Some taxonomists, we can do it, why not? Or Musca Panikovsky. Yes, I will come to the sculpture of Panikovsky standing here at Priorizna Square, and we'll see how he looks like. What about another names? Another names can be devoted to some historical person. For instance, as you say, we can create the genus name, and you can create a species name. For instance, but initially we check if this name have not been described by someone else, so you can create genus name and then species name. For instance, the genus name can be Taras, and the species name Shevchenkoi. Yes. But maybe someone has described already Taras, so that's why it can be Tarasiella or something like that. Or what about Grushevsky? It can be species Mikhailo Grushevsky, new species of fly, or dragonfly, or beetle, or bees. Or for instance, Ivan Frankoy, this is the same, also with genus name and a species name. Or just Lesia Ukrainka, genus name and a species name. Yes. Okay, what's genus name is the most difficult to get it, but I can propose another names. But for that to find these names very easy, but it's difficult to find the individual, the specimens which will be described. For that, entomologists and zoologists must go somewhere, for instance abroad, to expedition, to visit in forest, steppe region, mountains, to collect material somewhere with the sweeping net, with all the entomological and zoological equipment. And after collection, after expedition, we are coming back to laboratory, to the museum, where we can sit in and watching the material under microscope and describing it and publishing it just on computer, and then submitting it to the literature and printing it. And after that, this name will be just directly contributed to the scientific literature forever. Forever, don't forget about it, forever. And for instance, if you propose your name can be also contributed to the scientific literature and the whole and universal world and knowledge forever. Don't forget about it. Even if your name can be synonymized by someone else. For instance, what you can use some traditional names. For instance, if you collected, or entomologists collected such species as a fly Musca somewhere in Zanzibar, somewhere in Africa, Musca can be Musca trizubi, yes, for instance, or Musca bulavi, or Musca vyshivankoi, or Musca ukrainica. But this is a good in contribution to the names which will be glorious for the whole world, because people all in other countries will read it and will say the name which will coming from Ukraine. But for that, if you are sponsor, you can contribute to the science, to the zoological and entomological science, and entomologists can type it this name in his or her entomological publication in your manuscript. For instance, if there is a name as a Morpho Hercules described Dalman in 1823, but if you or someone or just some of my colleagues can collect Morpho somewhere in America, it can be Morpho Shevchenkoi, or even Morpho Kobzari, or it can be Morpho Banduri. So these Ukrainian names can be really contributed to zoological science. But these names can be even from your country, from your traditions, from your personal memory, so welcome to contribute it. For instance, if I use the names of Ukrainian hetmans, very famous Ukrainian military leaders, so I propose to create such names like Apollo Bohdani in honor of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, or Apollo Khmelnytsky, why not? So very nice and famous name. Or Apollo Vishnevetsky, also very famous Ukrainian hetman, or Apollo Polobotki, or Apollo Mazepi, why not? But for that, first of all, we need to collect Apollo somewhere in Asia, in mountains, and it's not easy. This is really the efforts of entomology, how to collect this animal, and then this entomologist can describe it. And what about, for instance, you say about different flies? Even just the fly like a musca can be named with the name which you do like the Musca circoi, why not? Or Musca nestori in the name of Nestor Machnoi, or just the Apollo Machnoi, why not? Or for instance, Apollo, or just Apollo Mikluchomaklai, why not? Very interesting. Or Apollo Sagaidachny. Apollo Sagaidachny, very interesting, very nice Ukrainian name. This is the same, for instance, if someone from mass media or some, not a scientist, but not their relatives, but some of the singers, musicians, they do like to put their name in the name of entomological or zoological subjects. For example, for instance, if you say another name, yes, Musca, this is a genus name, and a species name can be Musca ruslani, or Musca rotare, or Musca potapi, or even a Musca biloziri, why not? Or Musca danilkoi. But for that, this is a great trick. Entomology